All right, let's talk about friction with a different pen. All right. So, friction comes from basically the interaction between two surfaces. And if you look really closely at a surface, it's quite jaggedy. And when these two surfaces interact, there's a force between these guys, and that's what's going to cause your friction. We give it the little lowercase f, and you'll see f sub s or f sub k. That stands for static, and that stands for kinetic. And these are definitely words that you've seen before. Static is when something's not moving, kinetic is when something's moving. What this is really talking about is how these two surfaces are moving relative to one another. Okay? So I'm sure that you've, pushed on a table before, right? You push with an applied force and it doesn't move. So if it doesn't move, then the net force on it would be 0, right? If it's not accelerating. So that force that's making it not move, if you will, is friction. And which kind is static? Because it's and really honestly the static friction is down here, but you get what I'm saying. Because these two surfaces are not moving relative to each other, it's static friction. Okay? So if I push with a force of 1 Newton and it doesn't move, I know that force also has to be 1 Newton. Let's say I push with a force of 2 Newtons and it still doesn't move. I know that has to be 2 Newtons. At some point, right, so let's draw a graph here. Here's my friction force, and yes, I just got a message. I'm going to ignore that. And here's my applied force. So what did I have? I pushed with 1 Newton, and I got 1 Newton of friction force. 2 Newtons, 2 Newtons. Okay, so what'll happen is I'll push. It'll give me everything it needs, and then all of a sudden, boom, bam. All right, so what just happened? This is the maximum static friction force, okay? And we'll say what that's equal to in a second. And then all of a sudden it turns into kinetic friction, okay? And so that is kinetic friction. You'll notice the kinetic friction is constant, okay? And if you look at your equation sheet, you see something that looks like this, mu Fn. So this is the coefficient of friction. So literally, no one ever uses this equation, okay? This is saying a lot of stuff, right? This inequality is describing this whole region, okay? So it's saying that the static friction force is less than or equal to the static coefficient of friction times the normal force. That equal is where it's maximal. Okay, so it's static friction times normal force. This kinetic friction is equal to mu k Fn.